1996 United States 1-cent coin, a small coin with a bigger story. Most people don't remember the last penny they spent. It slips across a checkout counter, disappears into a cup holder, or joins hundreds of other coins in a forgotten jar. But every so often, an ordinary-looking cent encourages someone to stop, look closer, and ask a simple question: what if this one is different? One quiet afternoon, imagine opening an old coffee can that has been sitting on a garage shelf for years. Inside are hundreds of Lincoln cents collected from family road trips, grocery store change, and loose coins emptied from pockets long ago. You pour them onto a table, expecting nothing more than common pocket change. Then one date catches your eye: 1996. At first, it doesn't seem special. After all, millions of pennies were produced that year. But experienced collectors know that coin collecting isn't always about finding the oldest coin. Sometimes it's about discovering the smallest detail that everyone else overlooked. The story of the 1996 Lincoln cent begins during a decade when cash was still king in America. Credit cards were becoming more common, but pennies continued traveling from gas stations to school cafeterias, from grocery stores to neighborhood diners. Every coin carried tiny pieces of everyday American history in thousands of different hands. The familiar portrait of Abraham Lincoln had already become one of the longest-running designs in U.S. coinage. On the reverse stood the Lincoln Memorial, a design that generations of Americans recognized instantly. To most people, it was simply another penny. To collectors, however, every mint mark, every strike, and every tiny variation deserved a closer look. The first thing collectors examine is the mint mark. A 1996 penny with no mint mark was struck in Philadelphia. A D identifies a coin struck in Denver. Proof coins bearing an S were produced in San Francisco, specifically for collectors. Although these differences don't automatically make a coin valuable, they are the starting point of every serious examination. Now here's something many new collectors don't realize. The date alone almost never determines value. Two coins struck on the same day can have dramatically different collector appeal years later. One may have spent decades in circulation, becoming scratched and worn. Another may have remained untouched inside an original mint set, preserving nearly every detail exactly as it left the press. That difference in condition can completely change how collectors view the coin. A bright, sharply struck example with original mint luster often attracts much stronger interest than a heavily circulated piece, even though both share the same date. But condition isn't the only reason collectors search through rolls of 1996 pennies. They also hope to discover genuine mint errors or recognize die varieties. These might include off-center strikes, double design elements, die cracks, broad strikes, or other unusual production mistakes. Such errors are uncommon, which is exactly why collectors enjoy the search. Here's a surprising fact: many valuable discoveries don't happen at auctions, they begin on someone's kitchen table. A collector opens a bankroll of pennies, examines each coin under a magnifying glass, and notices a detail that everyone else missed. Most searches end with ordinary coins, but every once in a while, patience pays off with an interesting find worthy of further study. Professional authentication is an important part of the hobby. Before assuming that a coin is rare or valuable, experienced collectors compare it with reliable reference materials and, when appropriate, submit unusual examples to respected third-party grading services. Certification helps establish authenticity and condition, both of which strongly influence market value. So how much is a typical 1996 penny worth? For most circulated examples, the answer is simple: face value. Uncirculated coins with excellent preservation may command modest premiums, while certified high-grade examples or verified mint errors can sell for considerably more. The exact value always depends on rarity, condition, collector demand, and current market activity, not simply the date. That reality is part of what makes coin collecting so fascinating. It's not about believing every penny is worth a fortune. It's about understanding why a few stand apart from millions of others. Imagine sharing a small box of old coins with a grandparent who remembers receiving pennies as change decades ago. Every coin carries a story, not just of the U.S. Mint, but of ordinary people buying groceries, filling gas tanks, saving loose change, and unknowingly preserving small pieces of American history. Whether your own 1996 penny turns out to be common or collectible, taking a closer look teaches something valuable about history, craftsmanship, and attention to detail. Sometimes the greatest reward isn't discovering a rare coin. It's discovering a new appreciation for the coins we've overlooked our entire lives. Thanks for spending a few minutes exploring the story behind the 1996 United States 1 cent coin with HF Coins World. If you enjoy learning about rare varieties, mint errors, and the fascinating history behind everyday coins, consider subscribing for future videos. And before you spend your next handful of change, take a second look. You never know what interesting story might be hiding in plain sight.